reason why I joined the organization Cageprisoners is when I returned from Guantanamo, I wanted to know, who is it? Who is it that's working for the case of the Muslims and Mustada'afin, for the Sujana, for the prisoners? What are they doing? And if in your community people get imprisoned, particularly people when you know they've done nothing wrong, when you know they've fallen foul of a law that has been designed to target Muslims, and stand up. Even if you don't agree with what they've done, you can condemn what they've done if it's wrong, but stand up for his rights or her rights, because the worst thing is to be abandoned by your own community. So this advice I give to you, all of you inshallah would have had copies of the Cageprisoners leaflets. It gives details about what campaigns we've been doing for people in, whether it's men or whether it's women, whether it's in Guantanamo or whether it's in the Horn of Africa, whether it's outside far away or here right in this country where people are detained without charge or trial. Please take a look at this, and if you want to support the organization, then sign the standing order form, whether it's £1 a month or 5 or 10 or 15. Support the organization because this is something unique within the Muslim community. We have unique issues, and what we'll be showing to inshallah this evening is that the Somali community is the latest, but it is not the only one. You're not alone in this. Those of you who've been approached by the intelligence services. The first groups of people detained in this country without charge or trial was after the September 11th attacks, mostly North African Muslims, Libyans and Algerians and Palestinians and people like that. Easy targets. Nobody stood up for their rights. For 3 years they languished in prison, no charge, no trial. And that in this country, which boasts having the greatest human rights records and legal process in the world, they detained people without charge or trial for years on end, and then they introduced control orders and held them in their houses, unable to communicate with the rest of the world. Effectively prisoners in house arrest. Then people from my own community, the Pakistani community, were targeted because some people carried out allegedly acts of terrorism on the 7th of July. So then the Pakistani community, particularly those of British origin, were targeted and detained, and they were held under control orders also. And hundreds and thousands have been detained in this country, most of them released without charge or trial, but their lives ultimately ruined, and a community that steps back from it. So don't make the mistake that many others have done. If you feel your community coming under pressure and being targeted, stand up for it, don't stand away from it. Finally, the words of the brother Abu Sulaiman, we heard there was a nasheed that was being sung. That nasheed was sung by a brother called Abu Sulaiman al-Bahraini, who himself was a prisoner in Guantanamo. And he repeats the words in another nasheed that you could hear on the Cageprisoners website, of Sayyid Qutb when he was in prison. And what did he say? It's a song that we sang as a nasheed also in Guantanamo. أخي أنت حر وراء الصدور أخي أنت حر بتلك القلوب إذا كنت بالله مستعصما فماذا يضيرك كيد العظيم. My brother, you are free. My brother, you are free behind these walls. My brother, you are free despite these chains. And if you held on to the rope of Allah, then what can the plans and the plots of ordinary people do against you? Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullah khair.
For a reminder and for clarifying the kind of human perspective on so many of these issues. And it's interesting what he's talking about in terms of the kind of impact that there is based on the profile that we see, based on the kind of indiscriminate detentions that we see. And one of the cases that sticks out most in my mind whenever I talk at any event, whether it's in the UK or around the world, is the case of Hafsa Saleh Ali. This was a 4-year-old girl that I interviewed in Kenya who was detained by the Kenyan anti-terrorism police unit for 30 days. She was kept in a cell, away from her mother, without a mattress, without a blanket, without any decent food, without access to anything. And she was interrogated herself. She was interrogated with questions like, where is your father? Where is Al-Qaeda? 4 years old. I mean, I don't know if any of you know actually how old 4 years old is, but you know, kids of that age don't really know much about life. They don't really know much about anything. So for her to be kept in those conditions and to be detained as a suspected or somebody with information about suspected terrorists, you know, subhanAllah, it's one of those cases that I'll never be able to shake from my mind. Now to talk a little bit more about, and to give us a bit of a reminder about what these issues mean to us as Muslims, we have Sheikh Abdul Qadir Mu'min, who's with us now, and you know, he's going to give us a reminder, inshallah.
بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. إن شاء الله تعالى waxay ka hadli doonaa بإذن الله تعالى muslimiinta iyo sida looga baahan yahay inay istaageeraan sidii hadda walaalaheen iga horreeyay inoo sheegeen. وأنا أقول بالعملنا النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حديث جابر ورينيو صلى الله عليه وسلم أو نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما من امرئ يخذل امرأ مسلما في موطن ينتقص فيه عرضه وينتهك فيه حرمته إلا خذله الله سبحانه وتعالى في موطن يحب فيه نصرته. وعليه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مجر قف مسلمة أو أقرقار وايا أو أهيل وايا قف كلا أو مسلمة أو قف كمسلم كأوجو ميل لو واحد جد بيشرف تيسا